So what I first thought I would do is plug the Atlas kit into the ESC, because there are two 3-prong plugs here, but unfortunately the Atlas light set came with a male 2-pin connector, which doesn't fit any of the connectors here. Then I thought, well, there's a 2-pin female connector on the existing stock headlight wire for the FCX24, and I was super excited to try that. But when I plugged it in, only the tail lights turned on. The headlights did not come on with the rest of the lights. So then what I decided to do was remove the 2-pin female connector from the stock headlight wires and then put it on the Atlas. When I removed the 2-pin plug from the stock headlight wire, I absolutely messed it up. So I ended up putting a little drop of crazy glue in here just to hold them in place. And then when I plugged it into the 2-prong fog light port on the ESC, what would happen is that as I clicked the transmitter, because the headlights were on their own port, they would turn on and off independent of the tail lights, and I didn't really want that. And to get it so that the headlights and tail lights worked independently of the roof lights, I would have to dismantle these, remove them from the buckets, put the other set inside these buckets, and I just didn't want to do that. It looks like they're hot glued or melted in there, and I didn't really want to go through that process. So what I did was I just jammed the 2-prong plug into one of the 3-prong plugs on the FCX24, and the two that are right here in this corner are both for headlights. So now everything works in sync. Everything is either on, bright, or off. So what I did is I made myself a little template out of paper that started at the door, went up the window, and then wrapped around to the roof, and that was where I was going to put my roof lights. And I did the same thing on the other side, and then I made myself this tiny little template. Hopefully that'll be in focus. It's just 2 little holes. So I laid that at the edge of my template, my paper template here, and used the body reamer on the roof to drill 2 holes, because the mounts on the bottom of these have a pin and then a hole for a screw. I had to remove the fenders and the inside window in order to be able to screw them in from the bottom. Right now, and this is very uncool, I'm sure, I just use blue tape to sort of hide the wires that come up the back of the cab. For the tail lights, I use the drill because this is much thicker, and if I use the body reamer, by the time I got a thick enough hole on one side, it would be too wide on the other. So I marked them with my template, used the body reamer to just start little holes, and then I used my drill to drill 2 different size holes, a larger one for the pin that's on the back side of this. It's just an anchor pin, and then a smaller hole for the screw. Actually, they're, I guess, bolts. I actually removed the bumper, so I had 2 extra for this set of lights. And then I neglected to replace 2 bolts for the body. They're held down with screws at the front and then screws through the back, so it's still solid, but I didn't have any little bolts to use, so I didn't use these here, and they're a bit longer. I used those in the back actually, and then I used the bumper anchor screws or bolts for the roof lights. So now I have tail lights a little out of scale and roof lights a little dim, but they're there, and I think it turned out really well.